this big match, and I got to see a picture the other day of you and Jerry standing together, and I couldn't get over what you look like, brother. That biceps are just looking insane. You got mountains. And, first thing I think about when I think of biceps and arm wrestling is Zurab. So I think this is like the perfect match. I'm very excited about this. I remember when I met Zurab in person, you could tell online when, he's doing all these crazy lifts and all. Dude's got humongous arms, but when you actually see him in person, it's crazy. The dude's only like, I think he's like 5'8", and I mean, he's sporting 20-inch guns, definitely. But what do you expect that day, bro? And what is your training looking like? Because obviously you've been doing a lot of training. You are looking focused. I mean, I'm just going by your appearance and everything. You look like you're back. So what does your training look like these days to look like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely hungry. And, since the last time we talked, I told you that I was cleaning up the act and taking training more seriously. And, I was going to kick the booze and focus on my nutrition. And so far I've been running with that. I've stayed clean and focused on eating good. I'd say probably about 80 to 90% of the time. I don't feel like I get enough calories in if I try to eat all clean. It's hard to and it gets mundane. So I break out there, and I'm not a bodybuilder. But with the lack of drinking so much, the weight comes off. I've started to whittle down, and kind of like my composition's getting better. And I train when I can. Sometimes recovery is not as fast as I'd like it to be. I try to listen to my body. So I'm trying to do a little bit of overall body work for conditioning and strength while maintaining the objective that I'm an arm wrestler. I'm not a physique model. I'm not trying to get on stage because it's easy to get distracted and, I'd like to have more bulbous shoulders and traps. But in the time I'm doing that, there's a line of like shoulder mobility and health that's good for arm wrestling. And then you start getting away from how you look on the beach instead of doing something that's going to help you in 6 weeks, and it's hard to be great at two different things at the same time. So I'm really taking advantage as much as I can. I'm trying to make years up of being dormant in a couple months against this guy. But I could say I'm trying. I'm doing what I can do. I'm not sleeping on the couch or getting fucking hammered and then saying I did what I could do. I'm actually trying. And, training with Jerry was eye-opening because he's got a great group there. And being able to have a guy that I can really torque out with and really put me in the situations that Zurab will, but at a bigger, stronger body. I can't be, Jerry is a bigger, stronger Zurab. His shoulder press is stronger than Zurab's. His arm is stronger than Zurab's. And that's not a knock on Zurab. I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. The guy's a fucking monster. So if I can get consistently pushed by a guy like him, I don't think I'm going to feel anything from Zurab that's going to, it's like these fucking guys who come from third world countries and they see death all around them and bodies in the street. And then they come here and they join a little fuck around gang. And these guys think they're hard. They're like, you don't know fucking hard. Like that shit doesn't scare me. I grew up with that. So Jerry's like that third world country for me. And Zurab, if I train with Jerry, Zurab's like the little pea shooter gangbanger. That's the way I can explain it. But I've made it since that point. Like I'm going to seek out training with Jerry as often as I can, even post-match with Zurab, because that kind of multi-directional power will bring you up to speed on the world elite level real fast.
Rob, how many days a week are you lifting? And are we just doing general lifts or are we doing table specific training?
All right. So before I went to this practice, I got to be careful because I don't want to show up to practice too banged up, because for me, I feel like it hurts a lot of my, how my body wants to move and build that repetition and, kind of how my body and hips and everything move. And if I'm too fatigued and tired, you start pulling sloppy and then that becomes a habit. So I trained real specific stuff a couple days before I went down there to train with Jerry. And I didn't feel terrible, but I didn't feel great. Like my wrist and hand got real tired real quick, which never happens. So I was doing like a day or two of really hard specific table stuff at my house and then a week of training on a table, a day of training on the table. But that was with guys who weren't as powerful. So I might switch it down to really hard training with Jerry and then doing some specific stuff, but not at that max level. So I'm trying to get like, I'm happy if I do a good day on the table and 3 days of specific stuff. But I mean, I try to do like the chest, the shoulder health. I love triceps. I think they're really good for your elbow. Hand and wrist, I could train almost every day, every other day, no problem. And anything I do more than like 3 days of like gym workout and table, I'm real happy with.
What do you do for your hand and wrist? Do you want to share that at all, or you want to keep that?
Yeah, yeah. I have a new gripper that I bought that I love because the way it fits in your hand, it doesn't close like this. It closes completely flat like this. So it changes the ergonomics of your hand to be able to squeeze with your top knuckle too. And it's 100% adjustable on the pressure. So you're basically getting like 20 grippers in one. You can go high reps or you can go really like hard reps. You can adjust the distance too. So if you want it small and you want to crunch it just like that, or if you want to really sweep it out, and just the way the handles feel on my hand, it feels good on my fingers. I do a lot of thick handle work. Like I got a double thick handle when I do my rows. Everything I do, I try to use any kind of pulling or curling or anything. I try to use my hands and wrists because what's good is all that pulling strength. If when you pull, you flatten out and bend your own wrists. So you can really get a hand and wrist workout just with doing some of your back moves or pulling moves with the containment. And I got another handle I just built. It's over here somewhere. But like I got a flat handle that I like to focus on my fingertips and like push down from my fingertips. I mean, I do a lot of basic stuff you see on the internet, but I'd say that I try to do them in a more diligently focused, and I really try to mimic how I grab someone. And I don't get too caught up with people's numbers because it's easy to do that. But I like to do things that feel like I feel on a table and be really diligent with as if I was getting a ref's grip, close my hand, and then pull, and I just really mimic those lanes as much as I can. And I just keep it fresh.
Have you ever thought of using a racquetball? Like as we're talking right now, I will walk around and all day long, I'm just squeezing this, then I'm squeezing my thumb,
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's something that you consider.
Just even putting your thumb in there and going like this, or you could just grab it on those fingers. I remember a guy, I think Christian Binney said years back that Jason Vale used to just squeeze a water bottle like this. And it's funny, but once the water bottle squishes, it kind of fits into your hand right at that sweet spot. And then if you just almost like you try to pop it, it's amazing what squeezing something that doesn't give will do for you as well.
That's funny you said that because when I went to first 3 months into arm wrestling, I went and trained with Christian. He lives right near my Florida place. And that was the first thing he did to me. He took a water bottle, he emptied it out, handed it to me, and he goes, "Go start walking around with this everywhere." And I was like, "Are you serious right now?" I thought he was like teasing me or whatever. But yeah, no, I started doing it. But I actually found like the racquetball, it's more comfortable. I just, you could get different parts of the fingers, been really concentrating on that thumb because we know, Devin's got everybody now concentrating on thumb training and all. You do anything specific for thumb training?
Actually, yeah. Well, because of what I used to do with construction, I used to run tin snips a lot and do a lot of things that I had to squeeze like this a lot and sheet metal and stuff like that. Like I did a lot of sheet metal work. So I was always squeezing like this. So my thumb pad on my right hand is pretty thick, but because I'm not doing construction anymore, I'm a fucking donut guy. I got that gripper I said that I dialed down. What I do is, if I dial it down to being really low weight, because you can only put so much stuff in your thumb, and then I close it, and I'll just sit there and hold it like a pair of scissors and just go like this. And also for me, coming from a grip background, I think pinch gripping, people highly underrate how good that is for overall hand health and thumb. Like when you got a pinch like this, that's almost mimicking like that flat hand. You feel it all up in the back of your hand and wrist here. And then the thumb, if it's limited, it has to catch up just to even hold. You could take flat plates, doesn't matter if they're 10s, 20s, whatever you can carry, and just hold them and farmers walk them and try to load up more weight. But that pinch grip, that flat-handed like health like this is really good. And I'll give you one more cookie. I'll show you this. I like to show people some of my secrets, but I just picked this up. This thing. I don't know if you get online and surf for cool gadgets, but this fucking thing right here, do you see it?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen this thing?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
It's a threaded rod, and these are 2 springs, so you could take different springs out to say how much pressure you want. Okay. But you twist it like this, like as if you were wringing a towel, And the
Yeah.
closer it gets, the harder it is to twist. And then you can untwist it backwards. So you get the forward like this, the reverse like this. And, I'll have my daughter use it because different springs, they'll tell you if you put the two together, it's this much poundage to squeeze it together, the little spring. But this for strength and hand health, I mean, you could do 2 sets of this and it will destroy you. I love this thing. I fuck with this thing all the time now lately because it's something you can just put. Some of the workouts are the ones that you can do the easiest, like a gripper. You can sit down on your couch and just fuck with it. So you could do that all day. You can get that volume. That's why mechanics and contractors are so strong. They're just doing shit all day. Well, you could do this and sitting down. You could just fucking be cranking on this thing. You know what I mean? Crank it backwards. And a lot of us don't get enough of this backwards work. It just ends up with I've even been guilty of it, tennis elbows and all that shit. So look it up.
Where do you get it, on Amazon?
I got that on Amazon, yeah, and it was surprisingly cheap. I mean, I just been hunting for cool gadgets that I can do while I'm watching my daughter, and I'll just go like this. And if it helps me 1%, sometimes the difference between freezing up a match, losing a match, and killing a match could be 1 or 2%.
When we get off, I got something to show you. I got one too that I don't have it here, but I'll go grab it and show you what that is for the wrist, and really good for the fingers as well.
I know what it is. It's that little circle thing you roll up like this, right?
Wow. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. There's not many things that slip under the cracks with me in the grip world. A few things I found lately I was happy with, but not many things I haven't seen.
What do you do for your biceps? Because I mean, you got some crazy biceps.
It was just, I would say standard stuff, but I think I've always trained my biceps like a bodybuilder, and people laugh at that in the arm wrestling world, but I think there is something to be said about, I've never injured my bicep, never had a pulled tendon, never injured it. And I had an argument with a guy, not an argument, we'll say a friendly debate, with a guy that was a friend of mine in Connecticut. And he believed that was stupid. That training full range is stupid because you only want to be static. But my theory was, what happens if you're in a match and you need to get out of that range of motion, or you just get pulled open a little bit? Your body, where your bicep connects all the way up through your shoulders and stuff, there's a lot more to biceps than just a bicep. The way it connects up into your shoulders and elbows, and it's a stabilizer. And when you get out of that, static is great for a certain angle, but when you get out of that 5% range of motion, now it's in foreign territory. It's not trained for that. It's not trained to be elongated and stretched open. And I said, I think you're asking for, besides having lacking strength in other areas, you're asking for injury. And shortly after that conversation, as luck would have it, he tore his bicep off. But I just think that when you get into training and you can do specific isometrics, I'm all about that. But I do think elongating it and really doing easy bar curls. I love concentration curls. They suck. Concentration curls suck my ass. You know why? Because I sit down with 25s and they make me feel weak. I want to see, you see these guys out there doing strap over the hand lifts straight up in the air, and they're doing 200 kilograms, 9 million kilograms. So it makes me feel fucking weak. But at the end of the day, if you're stimulating and working, I do think there is a lot of validity, even in the strength world, for bodybuilder type training and really targeting a muscle to be stronger like that. And I always say, Denis Cyplenkov was a world curl record holder. He did curls for the girls all fucking day. And there's a reason that people had a hard time opening that dude's arm up, because that connection that goes like this, if your bicep is strong enough, you could lose your hand and everything, and you could hold that angle, and he's done it. So I'm a big curl person.
So the majority of it is you're just doing full range of motion curls. Now, give me a percentage. How much of the training of your biceps is the full range, and then how much is static holds?
I'd say right now it's probably about 50-50.
Okay.
And I like to vary my rows so they turn into a bicep exercise as opposed to a back. So if I'm doing back and I want to roll into my belly button, or right below my sternum here, I want to row it. I got a handle that's closer like this, and I'll start, and almost instead of backing it, I'll pull it into my chest, and then you end up inevitably in this angle, and it's almost like a hard dragging curl that really overloads it, because they say for biceps chin-ups and things like that are some of your best growers of biceps, underhand chin-ups and pulls with a supinated grip. So if I can do that and then just pull it in. So yeah, I'd say for certain things like arm wrestling move, I'll do like 50-50.